In today's lesson, we will be creating new users and user groups. The first step is to go to the Security tab and select the option User. We will start with creating new users. This form opens with a number of tabs. We will go through each one in detail. In order to create a new user, which we will call Scanner User, you click on the New button. Every user needs a login name and a password, which of course needs to be retyped, and if the passwords don't match, you will receive an error that tells you that they don't match. All users will be created with the default language of English initially. There are three decisions to make here. Is this user a system administrator, which in this case he is not? Is the user allowed to change his own password? This option can generally be selected, but if your user ID cards will be pre-printed with barcode labels to scan for username and password, it's not a good idea to allow users to change their password. And then, will the user be required to change their password at the next logon? So the first time the user logs on after he has been created, will he be required to change a password? Again, if passwords are to be pre-printed, this is not a good idea. This will be a default printer that will be used to print labels for this user, not required at this stage. The user can now be saved. You are warned upon saving a user that the user must be linked to an organization and a user group. We will do that now. First, there is the option of entering contact details. You notice that the first name is carried across from the logon name. This is the name that appears throughout the system on the forms as for the currently logged on user. Of course, if the first name is not Scanner User, we can change this to say John Smith, which is useful for reporting purposes. Every user must belong to an organization, and the system comes predefined with one organization. The name can be changed, but we can leave it as it is. Every user must also belong to a user group. These user groups are the ones that are used to determine which functions the user will see when logging onto a scanner. In this case, the user will belong to the user group Site Admin, and then save the user. That is all that is required to define a new user in TransLution. Defining a new user group is even more simple. You simply click on the Security tab once again and select User Group. And here you can simply add in a name for a user group. That's all that is required. Once users and user groups have been defined, we can then move on to assigning scanner permissions for functions, and this is covered in a separate lesson. Thank you.